Hey everyone, welcome to Know Your Gear bonus podcast. This is another bonus podcast. I promise these more and more. I think this is number 5, but I don't know if the numbers are going to matter. Usually, what I'll do is I'll just put in the title. You're going to see whatever I think the most interesting thing or the thing I talked about the longest is. So, what is this? This is not like the live QA show where I'm, on the fly, trying to on the cuff. This is your emails answered, talking about subjects that you guys have sent me that I'm interested in, that you're interested in, and let's go. Some of the questions I got that are strange that I wanted to put up that I thought was interesting. One of them was, how many emails do I receive? The record I had was over 25,000 emails in 1 month. It was horrifying because I think I could only respond to like 150. You know what I mean? So it was like just this, I don't even know. In fact, here's the good news. The questions have tapered off over the years, and they've actually slowed down, which is good. It sounds like that's bad, like, oh no, but it's actually good because it used to bury all the emails that were like business emails. And so the reason why I say it slowed down is I started putting like for business only responses, and a lot of people got, they're like, well, this question isn't about business. So it's nice, but it's still in the thousands of months, and that's, So what do we got? Let's go to a thing. I'm going to answer some emails and talk about some stuff. You're just going to hang out with me. This is in the morning. I have coffee, so you will hear me slurp my coffee. I try not to, but this mic is very sensitive and very good. And there's video now. I'm doing this with a video, so if you go to the Know Your Gear, not the Phil McKnight YouTube channel, but the Know Your Gear YouTube channel, you can check out this if you want to see my face. What you'll see is my bleached out side of my face because I'm sitting here with the window open because it's the morning and I like the wind. I like to look outside. It's pretty outside, and but the sun. There's just no way. It doesn't look like I'm like overexposed, and the room's dark. But I thought some people want to see video on this because I don't know. Maybe I have the kind of looks that make people feel good about themselves. I say that I'm gonna go on weird tirades this morning. I know. I say that, and so sometimes when I make jokes about that, like I have a face for podcast. I've had people go, "No, Phil, why are you so hard on yourself?" And it's because I don't care. There you go. All right, what are we gonna talk about? I don't know. We're gonna open an email and see what happens. We are going to open the first email. And, okay, this is from Angel. Angel says, hello, Phil. I hope this is finding you and yours well. And that's the new greeting, right? I like to say, I hope you're safe and well. But I'm noticing everybody's starting with that because they don't want to like, hey, I hope, something's going on with the COVID thing. They don't want to like, hey, answer my email. They want to make sure you're fine. But it's weird now that that's the new greeting. It's not, hi, how are you doing? It's, I hope you're not sick or dead. So it's a weird time to live. All right. It says, okay, I'm a longtime fan and I have done a few setups, mostly get polish rolled fret ends and very light leveling for myself and friends and family. Distinguishing that his friends and his family are different people. That's always appropriate. Now by listening to your awesome channel advice. Okay, cool. That's great. I hear that a lot. I think it's cool. It's one of the things I'll always remember, from the channel is that I think I got some people excited about working on their own guitars. And if that's all I've ever done on this channel, that's way more than I ever anticipated. So I'm glad to hear that. I am a new adult learner player, but I am practicing my ass off in these crazy times. I'm told that my setups are quite nice, but I myself not being good enough to know what good is yet, LOL. I've been a custom pocket knife maker for 15 years. That's very cool. So I literally do not go anywhere without my Swiss Army pocket knife. So you guys know, it's right here. So I couldn't have planned for that. When I was in the Army, everybody had a Leatherman. That was like the thing, right? I remember the first day on the job, like everybody had a Leatherman. If you didn't have a Leatherman, you were like, what? Not a newbie, but you were not pro. right? So everybody had a Leatherman. It was a big deal, especially in like the motor pool and stuff. I don't know why, just to have it. And so I had a Leatherman. But believe it or not, this is strange. I didn't like it. I never liked it. It's a good tool. It just seemed bulky. For Army, it was great, but like in civilian life, I just couldn't see doing that. But as a habit, like a blankie, I needed it. So I now have a bunch of different Swiss Army knives. So there's two different kinds of Swiss Army knives. That's really strange. There's two different logos. I know this is the weird tangent, but that's what you signed up for on the podcast. You need my odd personality going sideways on you. So yeah, there's two different logos. So some of you guys are really hip. You'll know what I'm talking about, that there's two Swiss Army knives. They're both made in Switzerland, and they're both Swiss Army knives. They're just two different ones. One has like this, I don't know. One has a shield and the cross kind of look, and then this one's the other one. But I have both styles. I have tons of these. In fact, I have so many of them because, I don't want to ever be without one. So the reason I'm saying that, Angel, is maybe I need you to make me a custom pocket knife. I never thought about that. So the tools on this is my favorite Swiss Army knife. You guys can't see it on the podcast, but you're watching it. This has the Phillips head screwdriver. It has the leather punch, which I probably use way more than you would ever think all the time. I use it for everything. It has, of course, the blade, but this one's the serrated one, and this is my favorite of all the Swiss Army knives, the serrated ones, because I really feel like the teeth get in there and cut. I feel like the other ones get dull pretty fast, and you have to sharpen them all the time. The serrated ones stay pretty evil for cutting up stuff. And of course, a standard, the smaller knife. And then this has the flathead screwdriver with bottle opener. That's very important, the bottle opener. Then it has the can punch. I don't know if that's the actual, it looks like the claw. I don't know what you call this stupid thing. I think it hooks in a can and it punches a hole in the can in case you want to drink motor oil. I'm just kidding. But this one has the scissors, which I love. Now, I can honestly tell you, seriously, these things have been abused. Maybe even accidentally washed in the washing machine once or twice. Probably not. My wife's pretty good about making sure I don't do stupid stuff like that. She takes care of all that stuff, but it's possible. Very cool. I thought I'd go on a tirade about that. You have a 99% chance, maybe 98. I don't want to give myself too much credit that if you bump into me, meet me, or see me, and you ask me if I have a Swiss Army knife, I have one in my pocket. I was going to tell you I have a bunch. This is how crazy I get. I have smaller ones and larger ones. This is the mid-sized one. The smaller ones are for when I have to go places where I know they might not let me take the Swiss Army knife, so I use the smaller one to hide it. Because I just have to have it's like I said, it's a woobie. That's a little blanky thing. So he makes pocket knives. That's awesome. And he was able to pick up the tech faster than when playing. He's basically saying his aptitude for fixing the guitars is better than his aptitude for playing guitars. Hey, Angel, welcome to my club. I learned for myself that I didn't care what I did in music. I just wanted to be in music. I never had I want to be a rock star. I never wanted to be a rock star's producer. I didn't want to be a studio artist. I didn't want to be a hired guitar gun or a bass player. I just liked playing music, and I liked it so much that I wanted to be connected to it as much as I can. And over the years, I found different ways. And that's the thing that I wish we would talk to kids about more. I wish somebody would have talked to me more. I've said this before. When I was in high school, and you go to your counselor and you bring up music, it's like they go, well, you'll either eat grilled cheese sandwiches and be poor for the rest of your life, or you'll be a billionaire rock star. And the likelihood of you being a billionaire rock star is not good, so don't be a rock star. It's sad. It's sad, I feel like sometimes that maybe it's gotten better. I hope it's gotten better. But the counselors sometimes like one-dimensional, hey, you could be a nurse or a mechanic, or you could be a lawyer, or the other 5 jobs I happen to know about. You could be those things. But no one goes, hey, you could be a consultant for companies to help them understand how to navigate weird things that they normally don't have in-house for. I mean, right? There's so many more jobs. And that's what happens to a lot of us. I again, this is the podcast of crazy sideways tirades. The first time, this is where my life changed, by the way, for me as a whole, younger. The first time I started bumping into people, and I'd always go, well, what do you do? And how, and they would say something strange. Like, I met a kid when I was 20, and he flew model airplanes in the civilian world, and then he was, believe it or not, he became a drone pilot for the Army. And but this is before all the massive drones, right? We're talking about the 90s. And I was like, what? What's that? And he's like, oh, apparently the Army wants us to like fly remote control little drone things. Like, these aren't the big drones. These are like little spy drones or whatever. And I was like, that's a job? How is that a job? He's like, yeah, it's like, I'm like, that's your thing you do on the weekend with the money that you made from your job. Now you're telling me that's your job? And so then you start learning that there's different jobs. My life has evolved into a process where explaining how I make money sometimes to my friends is almost impossible, because I'm like, because everybody wants you to say that you make all your money from one thing. I have 50 things, and I'm exaggerating, but I wouldn't be exaggerating if I said 20 things, that I have 20 revenue sources, 20 ways I have money coming in. And if all are firing, and I would be, dude, I'd be living in the dream life. But the reality is that the reason I have these revenue sources all coming in different ways is because of that, because some shut off, some slow down. But I've learned that that's how, there's more than just this, okay, I'm just going to go and get one source in one place for a job. I'm going to get this other, I'm going to find ways to make money and find uses for myself. This is a weird way to go on a whole tirade, but Angel, to cite to your email, yeah, I understand. This is a crazy email because he's not really ask me a question, Angel. You just kind of tell me what you're doing, and I'm bonding with that. This is actually a nice little reprieve for me. It's not like hey, Phil, what's the answer to this? It's just like, hey, this is what's going on. Thank you, Angel. This was a fun email for me. I don't know if listening to it was good, but it sure was interesting for me. So, Angel, to answer what you're saying here, I totally identify with the ability that you have an aptitude for tinkering. I think so, right? Some guys are better mechanics than drivers. That's definitely a fact. And gals, I always, keep in mind, people, I'm old enough to say guys all the time. I'm not trying to insult anybody. So some people get upset either way. They're like, oh, you shouldn't have to say that. But I'm just trying to be, inclusive. That's all. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm trying to make anybody feel like if they want to hang out here, they can. Because they can. So, Angel, good job. I'm proud that I was able to help you in some small way, and I'm happy that you found some joy in something that maybe you weren't doing before. I would be curious, to know more about your pocket knife making. So you guys know what happens when I read the emails now. What I'm doing is I'm just sending this link. So, Angel, you'll get this link, and if you listen to this, hit me up. Send me another email. Tell me about your pocket knives. Maybe I'm wrong with the Swiss Army knife. A lot of my friends have really nice knives. They carry them, and they're like, "Oh, Swiss Army knives, it's like such a 12-year-old boy kind of thing." And I'm like, and that's enough to make me make a decision. Call me a 12-year-old boy. I'll prove you wrong. This is so dumb. I'm so glad you guys don't have to pay for the podcast. I would feel really bad if this is what you were paying for. All right. What else do we got? Let's go. So Angel did that. Angel sent me another email. Hold on. I got to mark the email. So, wow, Angel, you sent another email, and it is long. All right. We are gonna try. This is too long. I'm sorry, Angel. Your other email is way too long. I'm reading it, and it's really involved. It looks like he sent that, and then he sent like another one with an extension of that. And I have to make a decision, and the decision is I can't read this one, Angel. I'm going to hold it. This is a holding pattern. It literally would be 5 minutes reading that and then trying to figure out. And I know I'm seeing numbers and specifications and graph tech nut and information about your guitar. It's just I'm smart enough to know it's a good email, but it's not good banter for the podcast. Let me hop over to Andy. Andy sent this email. Andy says, I just discovered your YouTube channel and I find it very helpful. I am soon to be 60-year-old and I do not know how to play any instruments. Okay, you know what? That's great. That's awesome because this is all the things I love to debunk. The whole, hey, you got to pick up your instrument when you're a kid. You can do whatever you want. Okay. So it says, and it has been one of my regrets. However, I am looking into. By the way, this is again. I'm just going to go sideways on all this stuff, I guess. You know, Andy, I'm glad it's you're addressing that it's a regret and you're taking care of it. I think that's one of the smartest things you can do is not come up with the conclusion that it's a regret and you're just going to let it lie. I think this is great. Hitting it head on. It says, however, I'm looking into learning how to play the guitar. My 15-year-old son plays the violin, and my father was an accomplished piano player. I hope some of my family's music genes are still in me. Okay. It's possible. You know what I mean? I have different feelings about that. I think it's almost always practice, but yeah, there could be a little bit of a gene in there that gives you that kind of that magic. I could see both sides, sure, but yeah, I'm sure it. I don't know. Let me get back to focus. I'm interested in buying a Stratocaster, and I think I have watched all of your related videos. One twist is that I'm left-handed. Well, then you have to quit now. That's it, Andy. That's it. I'm a 60-year-old left-handed guy. I mean, let's be clear. You should stop dreaming today. I of course, it's early. I'm in coffee and I'm sarcastic. I love this so much, by the way. And I'm looking for a left-handed Strat. That's easy to find. There are a fair number of used ones for sale on Reverb and eBay. I was leaning towards a Mexican Strat as a good compromise between a Squire and an American Standard. However, I see that there are a number of used Japanese-made left-handed Strats for sale. Therefore, I have two questions. Let's get to his question. It says, one, how do they compare to the Mexican and American-made Strats? He's talking about the Japanese ones. They are usually on par, if not better. I use it. I say on par. Look, I can tell you, for me personally, if somebody was to say I bought a Mexican-made or American-made or a Japanese Fender Stratocaster guitar, of course, especially used, could somebody have done something to it? Could there be issues with it? Of course, but based on the manufacturing quality, I would say it's a safe bet with all three of those models, and you would have no downside other than what somebody could have done to them. But in my experience, almost everything that somebody's done to them can be fixed, if that is even the case. So two is, does the age of the Mexican Strat matter? It does, believe it or not. Some of you guys may be shocked to hear that, and I'll tell you why in a second. There are several nice condition Mexican Strats that are about 20 years old. Sure, let me tell you what happens in the last recession. We're talking about this recession, that might happen, or is happening. The reality is recessions don't work like a light switch. I don't, not in my experience. I've been through two of them now. They kind of creep up on you like a fog, right? So why am I telling you that? In 2008, Fender decided to make some changes, and it was because of the recession. And some of the changes were, why have so many different components for the Mexican-made standards and the American-made standards at that time? So one of the things that was happening before that time was the Mexican-made Fenders had smaller fret wire. They were using different potentiometers and probably the same five-way switch, if I recall, but definitely potentiometers. Some different components on the bridge, some different components of, just small different components, right? The major difference, of course, is the fret size. They were smaller frets, and a lot of players didn't like that. Now, still, the Mexican-made standards had 21 frets, and the Americans had 22. I don't really care about that. Some players will, but trust me, you're a beginner. You don't care about it either. Not yet, not for a while. So why does that matter? It doesn't matter to you because you're a new player. To you, everything will seem normal and as it should be in the universe. However, for the rest of you guys looking at Strats, anything that's pre-2008 Mexican Standard Stratocaster, you understand that you're going to have a slightly different feel. Some people would say, oh, they feel different, because they did. They were slightly different fret wire and a few other things that were slightly different. So is that something that you should be cautious of? Absolutely not. But it is a difference. So look, to get to your core, your question is there anything wrong with the Japanese Strats? No. Here's the deal. You're left-handed. You're new to guitar. Do yourself a favor. Find you obviously are leaning towards Strats, which I think is a great first guitar. maybe even the only guitar you need. But here's what I'm going to tell you. If you're looking at a made in Japan, made in Mexico, made in America Fender guitar, left-handed guitar, here's what I would suggest. Find one that you think looks cool, find the one that has the best price on it, and buy it. That's as easy as that gets. Everything for you is practice. When you don't know anything, the tool is not as important. Can it hurt you? Can a guitar hold you back? It can. But what you're looking at is not that issue. So I would say do that. Find the reputable seller. Look one for a good condition. Again, I don't think you... what's great about being 60 years old... I don't know. I'm not 60, so I don't know what's great about being 60 years old. But what's great about being tenured is that you can smell BS. It doesn't matter what it is. Buying a guitar is not different than buying a car, buying a home, buying a lawnmower. It's just not. You know what I mean? Believe it or not, someone who's 60 years old who has some life experience might actually be a better buy their first guitar way better than anyone else, because of that fact that you know what to look for in what you mean by looking for credible sellers, looking for the right price based on the market. You know what I mean? So make a decision. You're obviously experienced enough to do it. I think basically what I'm telling you is I agree with your logic. I like where you're going with this. Left-handed Strats made in Mexico, Japan, or America. I think you're fine. Here's what I will tell you. You have a 15-year-old son, and he plays violin. Here's what's great about this. I think either one of those guitars, what's great about this is that this is a guitar that you won't ever have to sell. You'll get it. You'll play on it. One day your kid's going to own it. It'll last forever. It's cool. Do it. So there you go, Andy. Hope that was fun. Some of these obviously aren't going to be the typical get right to it things. I'm going to go just a little crazy on these. What else do we got? Aaron says, Dear Phil. See, Dear Phil. This is different temperament. It says, Dear Phil, I hope this email finds you well. See, but that's the new greeting. I told you, right? Okay, I wanted to let you know about a modular guitar, okay, that I've been working on in the last few months that I think is relevant to your channel. I will explain a little bit about how the modular assembly works. The module is essentially a big panel of wood that you can slide in and out of the guitar under the strings, okay? This makes it easy to swap and easy to customize. Want 10 pots? As long as they fit, that can happen. It can happen. It's just a simple matter of drilling a couple extra holes and wood plate. Okay, so before I go on, Aaron, any more into this email, because it seems like you're just going to go on about the guitar, which is fine. As it stands, the guitar is not yet finished product. However, I'm just kind of going through, I'm skim reading. Let me tell you something. You might not know this, so obviously you'll get this response in the podcast. I'm doing this video series for a company called Somnium Guitars. I want to explain to you what is going on with that guitar that's probably going to help your situation and understand some of the things. There are a lot of things that I can tell you Mark at Somnium Guitars and I, when we met, and I believe Mark would wholeheartedly agree with this. I helped him with like, hey, this is some things you need to think about. This is how you want to talk about this product. This is how, some of the changes that I think will let players identify your guitar differently than how they've been identifying it before. So he's helped me, or I've helped him definitely understand the market a little bit. We've definitely created something. We meaning he did it and I had some input. But what I was going to tell you was he taught me some things, and let me tell you some things he taught me. This guy, Mark at Somnium, is no joke when it comes to what he thinks. He builds, here's why. He builds parts. He has a company. He builds parts. I don't know how much I can divulge because I've never asked him. He builds parts for motorcycles, specific parts, a part he designed. So safety is not only a concern for him, but he's like into the whole like things should last forever thought process. When he took his Somnium guitar to a ton of YouTubers, every YouTuber is like, you can make it out of plastic and make it cheap and put it on in China. And he was like, and he was getting frustrated with this. And he didn't tell me that story, by the way. When we met, he just said, what do you think about changing the quality of this and then, or maybe going over China or doing this? And I told him, absolutely not. Absolutely not. What you're about to do, what you're doing is either innovative and cool, or it's a stupid thing for an infomercial, right? And you have to decide what that is. And if you decide it's innovative and cool, You're going to have to treat it as such. The reason why I tell you that is, man, that Somnium guitar, there's something I can't show people in videos. I don't know how to chronologize. I don't know how to videotape it and put it in. Dude, I am abusing and beating that guitar to death. If that guitar was made of those modules were made of wood, I told him, I said, why don't we make a few out of wood? He was like, no. And I was like, what about plastic? You know, just a few, right? Just like I said, just a few, just to test it. And he's like, I've tested it, Phil. I'm telling you. And so I was like, all right. Because again, I was just more curious in the test phase. I really agree with him, but I wanted to test it. What's my point to this? My point is, these things are made of machined aluminum. And none of them are broke yet. But I mean, I literally have abused them probably way more than he even told me. He's like, I've given it to touring musicians. I've done it, I've seen what can break. I've done it to where it can't break. Everything in my core, everything in my experience of guitar building, guitar fixing, guitar knowledge, industry, whatever, all my cumulative knowledge tells me I should have broke one of these things already doing what I've done to them. So the point I'm telling you is there's nothing wrong with your idea, but I'm telling you, there's a reason why he's doing it out of machined aluminum, and there's also a reason why no one can really do it. He didn't understand. He was going to guitar companies and he's like, hey, would you like to license this idea? And they were like, no, it doesn't look that interesting. And he told me that, and I said, did you go to their factories? And he's like, no. And I go, they don't have machine shops. He machines everything. I said, they don't have machine shops. These companies are not building bridges anymore. They buy that stuff, right? Paul Reed Smith is buying his bridges from like Hipshot and other places. You know what I mean? People are buying their bridges from other places. So they're not going to machine out modules and stuff. So it's crazy how crazy the Somnium guitar. Back to your other part, which is the module idea for the electronics. He's already got that too. So, I'm not telling you not to do it. I'm just telling you, hey, this is stuff you're going to probably discover. He's actually done it and put it in guitars. It didn't go over well. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. He did it and it didn't go over well. On the guitar that I have, it's modular in that way. There's more to the guitar. There's more going on in the guitar that I have than I've told people about, because of the fact that it doesn't pertain to the average person, the average player, right? They don't need all this crazy stuff, right? Like mine, obviously, one of the things mine has that's silly is I have the treble bleed that is bypassable. I don't know why that's a thing everybody would need, but in my guitar, I need it. You know what I mean? So it does stuff. So back to your question is, it's up to you. I think you should go and follow your dream. I just want you to be prepared for what that dream road is going to look like. You have Relish out there, and Relish guitars, they got the marketing power behind them. You know what I mean? And Somnium guitars, he's got all the patents. He's got 3 patents that lock down a lot of cool stuff, right? In fact, some of the things in the Relish guitars that I don't like, I'm pretty sure, and again, Mark didn't tell me this, I don't want to put anybody on the hook that didn't say anything they didn't say. I'm pretty sure the reason why some of the Relish things that are things about the Relish guitar I don't like are like that is I think that they violate his patents if they do it in another way. I'm not 100% sure on that. This is speculation, because there's a couple things in the Relish guitar that I don't like. And of course, besides the fact that I can't put a single coil in it, I can only put a humbucker that has a single coil in the humbucker, and I want to do whatever I want to do. So my point is it's going to be pretty hard to beat the Somnium guitar. The other thing, Aaron, I want to tell you is, again, so that you prepare the road, the amount of crazy money that Somnium's put into their guitar is not the guys at Somnium are not ever. Oh, I don't want to say ever. That sounds horrible. They're not. Hopefully, they're gonna be a huge guitar one day. But right now, he's sunk a ton of money into this. He has. He's weathered a lot of storms, and he's doing it for passion purposes. I can tell you right now, talking to the guy many times, he's said a million times over that if it wasn't a passion-driven project, he would have never gone, because it's not, the dividend's not there. He's doing this for a love of guitar and a love of the idea of advancing the guitar in some way. So be prepared for all of that, Aaron, is what I'm saying. Lots of money to spend in your way, lots of prototypes. Mine is called think about this. My Somnium guitar is called the TS3. The reason it's called the TS3, it stands for Tele style guitar, Somnium, so it doesn't matter. 3 being the third iteration, not prototype. There's been dozens of prototypes. Third iteration of the system. So he's had to redesign that system, which was very expensive each time. 3 times. before he got it right. And I think he got it right because the other two versions I was not impressed with as much. Well, the second one was okay. All right. What do we got? We have Nolan. Nolan sent pictures. Oh, it's the... he sent me pictures of a guitar. It looks like a... I don't know what this is. Let's see what it is. It says, "Hello, Phil. Big fan. I have a question on how to maintain and repair cracks on finishes. I have an LTD Kirk Hammett signature. It's the Demonology." Yeah, so it's the one with all the... it looks like the... What's that movie Tom Hanks was in? I don't know what it was. But yeah, it's got all those weird demon-looking symbols and stuff in the body. And some minor scratches. Which scratch removers do you recommend, and how to control humidifier? Wait, how to control humidifiers while guitar in case up to 2 weeks? Okay. So a couple things. First, I like the swirl remover from Stuart McDonald. I did a video on that a couple times, and more importantly, in that video, I said I bought this. Seriously, like 2008, 2007 is the bottle I currently have. I bought the big bottle. That's how long it's lasted me. I'm still using it. So it's working. As far as I know, it hasn't broken down or anything. It's still working. Great stuff. You can get stuff from Meguiar's. It's really good. There's a ton of great there's a ton of great stuff I've used. I just purchased the Stu Mac because Stu Mac, a lot of stuff I try with them, because I'm sure you guys that use Stu Mac tools are familiar with the idea that, sometimes you're like, I got to pay the shipping charge. I got to get this dollar amount to make sense. You know what I mean? To me, on Stu Mac, if you don't spend at least $150, the $10 charge doesn't even make sense, because otherwise it's like 10%. You spend $100, 10% of the ship, and it's 10 is the base. Sometimes it's like $18 in shipping. So the shipping is the thing that's always been it's all of our craw. I love it how people like to tell me all the time, like, Phil, the shipping at Stu Mac's horrible. I'm like, yeah, I know. I pay it too. I don't know what to tell you guys. In fact, now that I've had their ear, it's one thing I've mentioned 1,000 times. I don't think they're going to budge, and so, you can not buy from them. But what happens with me with Stu Mac is sometimes I go, screw it. I'm not paying their price. I'm not paying the Stu Mac tax. I'm not paying that. I'll buy something somewhere else. Every once in a while I get lucky and it worked out. Most of the time it's like, crap, I should have just bought it from Stu Mac. That was way better quality than this. So yeah, those guys are smart. They're smart, not only because they make good stuff, but when they don't make stuff, they pick good stuff. But most importantly, they pay attention to what we say. So there you go. So swirl remover from Stu Mac, or you can get Meguiar's. Just make sure whatever you get doesn't have pumice in it. Is my advice. But the swirl remover from Stu Mac, I really, really recommend it. There's a ton of them out there. If people give you suggestions too, I can only tell you they're going to give you the same suggestion. I hope. Well, here's the difference. People, when they post a comment, they go, what you really need to use this. That's great. I'm telling you, I use the Stu Mac swirl remover. Not that I used it once. I've been using it for over 10 years. The same bottle. Right? For 10 years, I've used it. The customers have been happy with what I've produced with it. I'm happy with what I've done with it. Definitely give it a shot. It's not that expensive comparatively for how long it's gonna last you. And the next thing about the humidifiers in your case, that's up to you. Sometimes humidifying the case is not. You have an electric guitar. I think we're talking about this guitar, right? Let's go back to this. Did I lose the email? What am I doing? Come on, sorry, Nolan. Nolan says, do you recommend and how to control humidifiers while on the guitar cases? I have a couple of very neurotic friends, as we all get, and they all love the Dimarzio one where it's got the Bluetooth thing to your phone app, and it tells you what the humidity in your case is. I don't know. I don't use them, so I would say don't use it, but if you're going to use it, that one's pretty cool because you can check that stuff. Cases sometimes need to be dehumidified as much as humidified. It depends. Really, think about this. Whenever you shut your case, whatever air was in the room, that gets trapped in the case. If it was really moist in the room, the case is going to be moist. And if it's dry in the room, the air in the case is going to be dry. Obviously, some cases are airtight, some cases are close to airtight. Either way, you have an electric guitar, and drying out an electric guitar is not an easy process, especially when yours is all painted, and I think the neck's all painted too, because it looks like you have it could be wrong. I'm looking at the side of the neck, and it looks like there's paint there. But either way, it's up to you. You know what I mean? Again, that's also an environmental thing. I'm not a huge humidifier fan, as I've said many times. Do you need them? I don't think you need them. can you use them? Sure, you can use them. This one's from Fran. Fran says, "Hey Philip, hi." Just right to it. Hi Philip. Good morning from Scotland. See, Scotland. That's a place. It's like, hi. Right to it. We're gonna get right to it. Good for you, Fran. Says, I was wondering if it's a bad idea or a good idea to use a magnetic screwdriver to set up the guitar. Can the magnet have a negative effect on the pickups? Kind regards, Fran. Great question. Totally understand. Sure. Not sure it will happen, but sure, it's an interesting question because technically you're dealing with magnets, and magnets can get degaussed, right? And all kinds of things can go wrong with a magnet. In that, I can, again, only defer to the experience of it. I use currently a magnetic screwdriver. In fact, Stu Mac sells one. This is like a Stu Mac video. Please don't. This is not sponsored by Stu Mac, guys. I just can't help it with the questions involved. So I have a Stu Mac screwdriver set right here. What's cool about this one is this is one of the things. This is probably, I don't want to say the only, but I mean, trust me, we're probably only talking about one or two things. This is one of the things that Stu Mac sent me. I didn't buy this. And I love it. I mean, I love it. It's a little magnetic screwdriver set. In fact, what's great is when I first saw it on their website, I thought they were insane. It was $50, and I thought, oh my God, these guys are nuts. And then when you look at it, it looks like a cheap Chinese-made screwdriver set that they just repackaged. But what they did, it is a cheap screwdriver set. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it's quality by any means. It's a nice little case and screwdriver set, but I don't feel like it's like $50. Reason why I would buy it seriously now. You know what I mean? Now that I've had it, and if I didn't, they didn't give it to me, and I was like, now I've experienced it, I would make the purchase. Is because all the little pieces that come with it are, I mean, dude, it literally, it's I forget. Sometimes I think it's just audio. It's video. I'm gonna show it to you. This little thing. It looks like my little Swiss Army knife, right? For those just listening to the audio, it's a little screwdriver set. So what am I trying to say? Yeah, this works as a magnetic. It's a magnet. So it's got a magnetic magnet inside it, holds the piece on there. And so not only have I never had a problem with any of that happening, I would imagine that Stu Mac, a lutherie company, would not send that out if they thought that was a concern, especially since what I use that for mostly is adjusting pickups and making all kinds of adjustments. So, Fran, I don't think there's any issues there. I've never seen one, and I've been using that stuff. But I mean, has there been extensive tests? Who knows? But yes, could you technically mess a pickup up and their magnet up by using another magnet around it? Sure. And also, I don't know how powerful the magnets are you on the screwdriver, but I'm assuming if it's a magnetic screwdriver, we're talking about a very small magnetic field. I just, again, I'm going to defer to my experience, which my experience is I've never seen the issue or heard of the issue. And not only have been working on guitars, which is why I refer to that, but I always refer to the fact that I know so many people and work with them, and I've never heard about it either. So that's your answer, Fran. All right. On that note, I think we're going to call it. This is basically an hour, so it was good. It was nice. I don't know how many emails we answered. 1,000. Welcome to my world. This is what I should do. I don't know if I could do this every morning, because this does tend to slow it down a little bit. Some of my answers when I'm typing them would be a lot shorter than these, or I wouldn't go on tangents and stuff, but this was fun. I hope you guys had fun too as well. I want to thank you guys so much for hanging out and listening to this, whatever it is that I'm doing here. Do I have any announcements? I don't have any announcements. This is pretty easy. If you're new, if you're seeing this video, this podcast, you're on the Know Your Gear channel, which is a separate channel. It's not a channel I'm trying to grow, so to speak. It's just a channel that I put this kind of stuff on there so I don't overwhelm the main channel with too much of this type of content. It seems to be some of you guys love this podcasty long form content. Some of you guys really like my short informational type videos, and so I just thought I'd put it on this channel. So subscribe to this channel. I don't know why. So you get notified that there's more. I know why. Subscribe to this channel because then eventually you get monetized. The Know Your Gear channel is not monetized. So it's another thing. When I put this stuff over there, it doesn't have any ad revenue added to it. So there you go. I think you have to hit so many subscribers and so many hours, and you can monetize it. Not that this would make any money, because again, this doesn't get the views like the other channel goes. But I don't know. Maybe just because you want to be notified of it. Sometimes I don't know. I feel like, and this is my last little tangent, I feel like a lot of stuff that I say is like because YouTubers say it, and I should just say it. Make sure you subscribe and give a thumbs up. And deep down, I have to be honest, I don't care. I want to. I just don't. I want to make content. I want you guys to enjoy it. What I found is the bigger the channel gets, it's exciting that so many more people get engaged with it. But really, end on a great note for you guys that have smaller channels. There is way more joy in having a smaller channel. Do not think that the glamour is as channels grow. I find the bigger the channel grows, yeah, there's some more ad revenue. There's a little bit more money, maybe some more business opportunities with companies. Those all kind of come. Those are great, and of course, but they don't come for free, which means you have to take all the flack of the fact that a bigger audience means you're going to attract more people who, they're not going to get what you're doing. They're just going to, hate it, and that's fine too. I hope everybody finds a good use for this. I know some people like to just listen to this just so they can scream at the monitor. Damn you, Phil. It is 24 3/4. I just Googled it. It exists. Whatever, right? I don't know. Good for you guys. On that note, as always, I want to thank you so much for your time. Till the next time, know your gear.